In this video, we're going to do the free worksheets within Infinite Algebra 1 on the KutaSoftware website, and we're going to work on two-step equations. We're going to do numbers 1 through 12 in this first video, and then follow up in a second video with numbers 13 through 24. Our directions are to solve each equation. Solving the equation, again, like in the previous video solving one-step equations, we need to isolate this variable a, so that we know what it's equal to. By isolating it, we will have a equals some quantity, or some quantity is equal to a. Now, when solving two-step equations, it's important to remember the order of operations. PEMDAS, parentheses first, then exponents, then multiplication and division, and then addition and subtraction. So on the left-hand side, we have 6. 6 equals the right-hand side, which is a divided by 4 plus 2. Remembering the order of operations, this a has to be divided by the 4 before you add 2. So we're going to reverse that and remove the 2 and send it over to the other side by subtracting a 2 to start. So subtracting 2 from both sides, because remember, whatever we do to the right, we do to the left, and vice versa. So 6 minus 2 is 4, and that's equal to a over 4. 2 minus 2 is 0. So a divided by 4 plus 0. A divided by 4 plus 0 is just a divided by 4. So this is 4 equals a divided by 4. Now, we're left with multiplying by 4 to both sides. That way, we'll have a times 1, or a divided by 1, which will give us a. And 4 times 4 is 16. So for number 1, 16 equals a. Let's move on to the second problem. I'm going to show you two ways to do number 2. Let's go ahead and start by moving the negative 6 to the other side. We do that by adding 6 to both sides. So we'll have x over 4 equals negative 5 plus 6 is a positive 1. Our next step would be to multiply both sides by 4. And that's going to give us x is equal to 1 times 4, which is 4. Now let me go ahead and show you the other way you could also do this. Let's go ahead and multiply by 4. If we do that, we're going to have to multiply both sides by 4, but we're multiplying this entire quantity. So the 4 gets multiplied to the negative 6 plus the x over 4, which is equal to negative 5 times 4. So we're going to distribute. 4 gets multiplied to the negative 6, and then 4 gets multiplied by x divided by 4. 4 times negative 6 is going to give us a negative 24, plus, when you multiply 4 by x over 4, then you're going to have 1x, so you're going to be left with x, and then that's equal to negative 5 times 4, which is negative 20. Now, it's down to a one-step equation. We're just going to add a positive 24 to both sides, since subtracting a negative is the same as adding a positive. And that's going to leave us with x equal to a positive 4. Either way leads you to the correct solution. However, I find it easier to do the method we used on the left-hand side. That way we don't have to worry about doing the distributive property. But either way is okay, so feel free to choose. Number 3, we have 9x minus 7 equals a negative 7. 9x minus 7 is the same as saying 9x plus a negative 7, so I'm going to move that over to the other side. So that we'll be left with 9x equal to some quantity. Adding a negative, so if we subtract the negative, it's the same as adding a positive, so we're going to add 7 to both sides. We're going to be left with 9x plus 0 is equal to 0. 9x plus 0 is 9x, and that is equal to 0. Then, just like a one-step equation, we just have to divide by 9 to get x by itself, and we'll have that x is equal to 0. 0 is equivalent to 4 plus n over 5. I'm going to start by subtracting 4 from both sides. 0 minus 4 is a negative 4. 4 minus 4 is 0. So we're going to be left with 0 plus n over 5. So this is negative 4 is equal to n over 5. My next step will be to multiply both sides by 5. Doing this on the left side, we'll get negative 20. And on the right side, 5 divided by 5 will be 1. So we're going to be left with n times 1, or n divided by 1. And this is simply n. So negative 20 is equal to n. Number 5, I'm going to add 5 to both sides. Negative 4 plus 5 is a positive 1. And this will be r divided by 20 plus 0, which is r over 20. Then, our next step is to multiply by positive 20. Or you can think of this as multiplying by 20 over 1, if you want to see it in fraction form. 20 times 1 is 20, and we'll be left with r over 1, which is simply r. So 20 is equal to r. Moving on to number 6, we have negative 1 equals 5 plus x over 6. Now remember, the fraction bar separates the numerator from the denominator, so we're going to have to add in parentheses to this equation. Now remembering the order operations, parentheses comes before multiplication or division when solving. However, we don't know what this value of x is. We're trying to isolate it. So let's go ahead and work backwards, since we know that the 5 has to be added to the x at the very start, and then eventually it will be divided by 6. So we're going to start by multiplying both sides by 6. So that'll be 6 times negative 1, which is negative 6. And multiplying by 6 is the same as multiplying by 6 over 1. So you'll see that 6 divided by 6 will be 1. So we'll be left with 5 plus x over 1, which is 5 plus x. So we'll have negative 6 is equal to 5 plus x. So now it's a one-step equation. We're just going to subtract 5 from both sides, and we'll have that negative 11 is equal to x. Number 7, we have a fraction bar again, so we're going to insert our parentheses. So v plus 9 occurs first. We're going to have to cancel out this 3 and move it to the other side of the equation in order to have v plus 9 by itself, and once v plus 9 is by itself on one side, we no longer need the parentheses there, just as we did in number 6. So we're going to start by multiplying both sides by 3 over 1, or positive 3. So the 3's, 3 divided by 3 is 1, so we're left with v plus 9 over 1. That is simply v plus 9. 8 times 3 is 24. And now we no longer need the parentheses, so we'll just subtract 9 now from both sides, and we'll be left with v equal to a positive 15. For number 8, we have parentheses. Now there's two ways to do this. We can go ahead and distribute this 2 to get 2n plus 10, and then subtract the 10, and then divide by 2. Or we can start by dividing by 2 initially. Since the 2 is multiplied by both n and 5, we're able to remove that 2 from both. So divide both sides by 2. 2 divided by 2 will be 1, so we're going to be left with n plus 5 equals a negative 1. Then we're going to subtract 5 from both sides to get n equal to negative 6. Number 9, we have negative 9x plus 1 equals negative 80. Subtract 1 from both sides, so I have negative 9x equals negative 81. Then we're going to divide by negative 9 to get that x isolated. That's going to leave us with x equal to negative 81 divided by negative 9 is a positive 9, since a negative divided by a negative is a positive. Number 10, negative 6 equals n divided by 2 minus 10. We're going to start by adding 10 to both sides. Negative 6 plus 10 is a positive 4. So 4 is equal to n over 2. Multiply both sides by a positive 2 over 1, which is the same as multiplying by a whole number 2, since 2 over 1 is equivalent to 2. And that's going to leave us with 8 is equal to n. Number 11, negative 2 equals 2 plus v over 4. So if we subtract 2 from both sides, 2 minus 2 is 0. Negative 2 minus 2 is a negative 4. So negative 4 equals v over 4. Then we're going to multiply by 4 over 1. Four times negative 4 is a negative 16, and that's equal to v over 1, which is v. So negative 16 equals v. And on to the last problem in this video. 144 equals negative 12 times x plus 5. X plus 5 are in parentheses, so we're going to start by dividing by that negative 12. When we divide by that negative 12, we'll have x plus 5 by itself on one side of the equation, and we're going to have a negative 12 on the other side. Then we're able to subtract 5 from both sides to get that negative 17 equals x. Go ahead, give me a thumbs up on this video if you found it helpful, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Also, go through my tutorials for a more in-depth explanation of how to solve not only one-step but two-step equations. And join me for the next video where we're going to finish out this worksheet. In this video, we're finishing the two-step equation worksheet on KutaSoftware. I'll leave a link in the description below so you know how to access that free worksheet. And before we get started, don't forget to click that subscribe button so that you're updated when I post new videos. For number 13, we have negative 15 is equal to negative 4m plus 5. We're going to start by subtracting 5 from both sides. Negative 15 minus 5 will be negative 20, and then we'll have negative 4m plus 0, since 5 minus 5 is 0. So this is negative 20 equals negative 4m, since negative 4m plus 0 is negative 4m. Next, we're going to divide by negative 4, and whatever we do to the right, we do to the left. Negative 20 divided by negative 4, negative divided by negative is a positive, so that's going to be a positive 5. Negative 4 divided by negative 4 is positive 1, and 1 times m is m. So 5 is equal to m. Number 14, 10 minus 6v equals negative 104. We're going to start by subtracting 10 from both sides. This is going to leave us with a 0 minus 6v equal to a negative 114. Now notice that this 6v is subtracted from 0. That's the same as adding a negative. So 0 plus a negative 6v is going to be a negative 6v. And that's equal to the negative 114. Then we'll divide by negative 6 on both sides to get v equal to a positive 19 for number 14. Number 15, we have 8n plus 7 equals 31. Subtract 7 from both sides. We'll have 8n plus 0, which is a positive 8n, and that's going to be equal to 31 minus 7, which is 24. divide both sides by 8, and we're left with n equal to a positive 3. Number 16, negative 9x minus 13 equals negative 103. Since we're subtracting this 13, we're going to have to add 13 to both sides in order to get negative 9x plus 0 or negative 9x minus 0. So we'll be left with a negative 9x on the left side, and then adding 13 to the right side will be a negative 90. Divide both sides then by negative 9 to get that x by itself. Negative 90 divided by a negative 9 is going to be a positive 10. X equals 10. Number 17, n plus 5 divided by negative 16 equals a negative 1. We're going to start by multiplying both sides by negative 16 over 1. Negative 16 divided by negative 16 is 1, so we're going to be left with n plus 5 equal to negative 1 times negative 16, which is a positive 16. Subtract 5 from the n, and then we're going to have to subtract it on the right-hand side too from the 16. We'll be left with n equals 11. 18, negative 10 equals negative 10 plus 7m. Adding the 10 to both sides will not only make this 0, but it will also make negative 10 plus 10 0. So we're going to have 0 equal to a 7m. And we know that when you divide 0 by any number, it's going to be 0. So 0 is equal to m. In 19, we're going to start by dividing by a positive 10. When we divide by a positive 10, on the right-hand side, we're going to be left with k minus 9, and on the left-hand side, negative 10 divided by positive 10 is a negative 1. Then we're going to add 9 to both sides to get that 8 is equivalent to k. Number 20, we're starting by adding 1 to both sides. M over 9 is equal to negative 2 plus 1, which is a negative 1. Then we're going to multiply by 9 over 1. That's going to leave us with m over 1, which is m, equal to negative 1 times 9, which is negative 9. 21, we have 9 plus 9n equals 9. Start by subtracting the 9. When you subtract the 9, we'll get 0 plus 9n is equal to 0. That leaves us with 9n equal to 0. And when we divide by 9, 0 divided by any number is 0. So n is equal to 0. Number 22, we're going to start off by dividing by that positive 7. That'll leave us with 9 plus k on the left, and 84 divided by 7 is 12. Then, like in a one-step equation, we're going to subtract by 9 to isolate that k and get that k is equal to a positive 3. Number 23, 8 plus b divided by negative 4 equals 5. Let's start by subtracting 8 from both sides to get b over negative 4 equal to negative 3. Then we're going to multiply by negative 4 or negative 4 over 1 on both sides to isolate the b to get b divided by 1 or b times 1, which is simply b. Negative 3 times negative 4 is going to be a positive 12, since a negative times a negative is a positive. b equals 12 for number 23. Lastly, number 24. And before we do the answer to this, don't forget to click that like button below. So now that you've liked this video, let's do number 24. Negative 243 equals negative 9 times the quantity 10 plus x. Divide the right side by negative 9 and the left side by negative 9. We're left with 10 plus x on the right a negative divided by a negative is a positive. A negative 243 divided by negative 9 is a positive 27. I can go ahead and do the workout on the right hand side. We have a negative 243 and we're divided by a negative 9. We know our final answer is going to be positive. So 243 divided by 9. 9 goes into 24 2 times, and that'll be 18. When you subtract that, you're going to get 6. And when you bring down that 3, 9 goes into 63 7 times. So 27. Now to finish it out, we'll subtract by 10 to get that 17 equals x. So a positive 17 is the answer for number 24. And that wraps it up for this video. Go ahead and comment below if you have any questions or if you just want to let me know that you liked the video.